This presentation is part of the Section 1 for the case study assignment, Affirmative Action and Financial Aid, Oil and Water, or Peanut Butter and Jelly? Higher education financial aid is a controversial and hotly debated topic, often cited as an access barrier for students pursuing a post-secondary degree. Affirmative action allows universities to factor in ethnicity, race, and financial aid policies and decisions. Why? There's an enormous price tag attached to higher education degrees with an average increase of over 2% annually since 2009. It's resulted in an average debt of more than $32,000 in 2016 for students with loans. This need for financial aid and college graduate debt causes further discussions given documented disparities in financial aid for different ethnic and racial groups. There are disparities related to ethnicity and race, educational loans, and debt, and these differences include amounts of money borrowed, frequency, debt amounts differ with Pell Grant recipients and graduates without Pell Grants, differences in the percent of students with educational loans by race, and differences in dropping out of higher education institutions with debt. Given cost as a barrier, affirmative action policies and consideration of ethnicity and race in higher education financial aid is a potential solution. Affirmative action are policies designed to eliminate unlawful discrimination among applicants, remedy prior discrimination, and prevent future discrimination. Affirmative action imposes remedies against discrimination on the basis of race, creed, color, and national origin. In education, affirmative action can be applied to policies and practices to prevent discrimination. The Office of Civil Rights provides guidance for educational institutions on how to promote diversity consistent with Title VI and Supreme Court decisions. Examples of affirmative action policies in education include policies on admissions, recruitment, outreach, mentoring, support, sports, financial aid, and others. Educational institutions may implement affirmative action financial policies that specifically support diversity, and to consider ethnicity, race, and participation in specific financial aid programs, institutions must tailor programs to achieve a compelling interest consistent with the U.S. Supreme Court criteria in Title VI. The formal intent of affirmative action and financial aid policies in higher education is to create diverse student bodies. The U.S. Department of Justice and Department of Education have maintained diversity as a compelling interest. Several court cases challenge the implementation of financial aid policies based on ethnicity and race, stating achieving a diverse student body simply did not qualify as a compelling governmental interest for equal protection purposes. Contextual factors that shaped affirmative action and subsequently financial aid policies related to ethnicity and race include discrimination, non-discrimination, and compelling interest, which includes educational diversity and remedying previous discrimination. The term affirmative action first appeared in its current form with President Kennedy's executive order, which stated the contractor will take affirmative action to ensure that applicants are employed and that employees are treated during employment without regard to their race, creed, color, or national origin, with the intent to realize the national goal of non-discrimination. The Civil Rights Act of 1964 followed, which prohibited employment discrimination and established the Equal Employment Opportunity Commission, or the EEOC, under Title VII. And the EEOC enforces employment anti-discrimination laws, and there are several of those. Affirmative action policies began appearing in higher education in the late 1960s and 1970s because of the requirement to document affirmative action practices and metrics if receiving federal funds. Educational institutions who acted discriminatory in the past must apply affirmative action as a corrective action. The Department of Education Organization Act of 1979 established the Office of Civil Rights in 1980 to investigate alleged violations of Title VI Civil Rights of 1964. The OCR enforces education anti-discrimination laws, of which there are several. Educational institutions may apply ethnicity and race as a consideration in financial aid if narrowly tailored policy demonstrates compelling interest, which often cited a diverse student body. Numerous court cases have challenged various universities' affirmative action policies, applying the argument of lack of compelling interest and reverse discrimination. Several key Supreme Court decisions have left universities fearful that the challenges may upend affirmative action law. Institutions must prove race-neutral or less burdensome alternatives do not exist that could achieve the same compelling interest, and two types of compelling interests that justify racial considerations in financial aid include promoting educational diversity and correcting previous discrimination. Higher education institution lists several educational benefits to support ethnic and racial financial aid policies: the promotion of cross-racial understanding, different perspectives of students who experience discrimination, breakdown of racial stereotypes, promotion of effective participation by different groups, and Title VI of the Civil Rights Act provides legal grounds for financial aid policies based on ethnicity and race. Key stakeholders with the most power and/or interest in affirmative action financial aid policies related to ethnicity and race include higher education institutions, state and federal legislators, judicial systems, and students. And each of these stakeholders fall into at least one of these circumstances. They benefit or suffer from the policies, they're held accountable for enforcing the policies, or they make decisions affecting implementation of these policies. So what's the big deal? Affirmative action directly relates to finances and funding in higher education. The Civil Rights Act and subsequent legislation tie funding to enforcement of affirmative action policies, and educational institutions must correct any previous discrimination through affirmative action policies. There are several implications and criteria related to affirmative action financial aid policies. Here are a few of the key ones. Race can be one of several factors. Diversity considerations should include more than ethnicity and race. Automated systems can't consider race. You can't base financial aid amounts on race, and several other criteria. Affirmative action financial aid policies greatly impact students at universities. Application of policies potentially benefit students in different ways. Implementation of policies have implications for universities. Further, the policies are extremely timely in today's current focus on structural institution racism and bias. As such, these policies must be examined in a way that weights their actual impact on society as a whole, impacting current and future generations. This presentation utilized numerous academic, legislative, and institutional resources. I acknowledge these references and sources and their work contributing to the body of literature on this topic. Please reach out to me with any questions. Thank you.